As the officiant posed a sacred question, whether I would take her as my lawful wife, I looked into her eyes and offered the faintest of smiles. Hollow, empty, devoid of warmth. That slight curve of my lips was not affection, but a dirge, a quiet mourning, in my heart. She was already gone, entombed beneath the ruins of the love we'd both let decay. Her voice rang out brightly. I do, with the kind of joy that once lit my world. But it struck me now like a bell tolling for the dead. I paused, let the silence stretch just a second too long. Long enough to raise eyebrows, to chill the air. A murmur stirred like wind in dry leaves. My mother shifted uncomfortably in the front pew. The officiant leaned forward, his smile wilting. My best man, Tom, turned toward me, tension radiating from his posture. And then I spoke. I cannot. My voice was calm, steady, measured, then louder, so none could mistake or mishear. Because my fiancée slept with my father last night. The breath was stolen from the room in an instant. A collective gasp surged through the chapel like a crashing wave. Somewhere behind me, a glass hit the floor and shattered. My father's face contorted in a grotesque dance of shock and shame. Sophie's perfect, poised smile crumbled before my eyes. But I wasn't finished. Once upon a time, we had seemed unbreakable. Or perhaps I was simply too blind, too desperate, to see the fractures forming. Sophie was a force, brilliant, brazen, sharp-witted. The kind of woman who walked into a room and commanded its pulse. We met in college. She spilled whiskey on my notebook at a party, laughed at my pen, and spent the next hour verbally sparring with me, eyes gleaming. I asked her out the next morning. 7 years. That's how long we built our lives together. From crumbling student apartments and instant noodles to a high-rise condo and Michelin-starred dinners. I gave her everything, not out of obligation, but because I wanted her to feel safe, adored, unshakably secure. And my father, God, the irony, he wasn't always the villain. For years, he was my hero. A self-made titan, magnetic, brilliant, dangerous. He taught me chess before I could ride a bike. Told me, control the game, not the pawns. I wish I'd paid closer attention. The truth unveiled itself like a blade the morning after my bachelor party. My head throbbed, my thoughts sluggish. I wasn't looking for anything, just instinct. Sophie had left her phone unlocked while she showered. Careless, maybe guilty. Not a message. A photo. There she was, bare, flushed, tangled in sheets that weren't ours. Timestamp, 2:14 a.m. location. My father's penthouse. There were more. Dozens of messages. Nicknames. Plans. Laughter. Love, even though not mine. She stepped out of the bathroom and smiled, oblivious. I smiled back. That's when the decision formed in my mind. The wedding would continue. Not for love, but for precision. Revenge, contrary cliches, isn't wild or hot-blooded. It's ice. It's patience wrapped in silk and stitched into a tailored suit. For 6 weeks, I played my part. The devoted fiancé, the grateful son. I laughed on cue, held her hand during fittings, let my father offer toasts, his arm around my shoulders like nothing was broken. In the shadows, I hired a private investigator. Every rendezvous, every whispered lie, every transaction, I documented it all. Their affair began 2 months earlier, the weekend I flew to D.C. for a conference. She didn't hesitate. He funded her spa trips, her yoga retreats, calling it wellness, in one email that nearly made me vomit. I smiled at her across dinner tables. I shook his hand and toasted the family. He didn't notice the new prenup I'd slipped into the wedding packet. She signed it without looking. The old version granted her half my assets. The new one? Nothing. Less than nothing. She'd owe me in breach. Quietly, I acquired the wedding venue through a shell company. Every wire, every switch, every screen fell under my control. I owned the lights, the sound, the projection. The morning of the wedding arrived, swathed in pageantry. She wore ivory silk like a queen. My father looked smug, polished. I wore a pocket square with a recorder sewn into the hem, just in case. She kissed my cheek. "Ready for forever?" she asked. "Almost," I said. The ceremony unfolded like theater. Guests smiled, murmured. My mother beamed from the front row, pearls around her neck. Pearls my father had gifted her last Christmas while sleeping with my bride-to-be. Then came the question, do you take her? She said, I do, bright and beaming. And I burned it all down. Gasps burst like wildfire. My mother looked like she'd been struck. My father tried to rise, but I raised my hand and the lights dimmed. Screens behind us flickered to life. Texts, hotel receipts, GPS pings, a final image, them kissing outside his penthouse. Time-stamped, unmistakable. My mother stood slowly, wordless, then walked out. My father stuttered, grasping at explanations that turned to dust in his mouth. Sophie, beautiful, brilliant Sophie, didn't move. Her face was stone, cracking. I needed you all to see this, I said to the room, because lies thrive in darkness, and I've been drowning in this one for too long. I turned to Sophie. You didn't love me. You loved the comfort, the attention. You chose convenience over commitment. She opened her mouth. I silenced her with a look. You had choices, I continued, and you chose him. Then, to my father, you were supposed to protect me, not compete with me. He said nothing. He had nothing left. I didn't wait for the officiant to speak. I walked out. No music, no applause, just silence, heavy and final. The aftermath was swift. My father's bore heard by noon. The man once revered for discipline and precision, undone by a scandal so personal it echoed in every boardroom. Quietly, they retired him. I made sure the video made its rounds. Sophie flooded my phone. Voicemails, messages, excuses, despair. I didn't reply. She tried suing for emotional distress. My lawyer handed over the prenup. Signed, notarized. Binding. She dropped the case. Last I heard, she was living with her sister. No job, no ring, no legacy. People ask if I'm okay. I tell them honestly I wasn't. But now, I'm not broken. I'm not angry. I'm free. Vengeance didn't fix everything, but it stripped away the decay. I didn't marry that day, but I buried something far more important. The illusion that love guarantees loyalty, that blood ensures honor. At that altar, beneath stained glass and shattered vows, I didn't just walk away from Sophie. I walked away from the version of myself who stayed silent, who accepted less, who mistook shadows for shelter. And I've never felt lighter.